Welcome to Hort Culture, where a group of extension professionals and plant people talk about the business, production, and joy of planting seeds and helping them grow. Join us as we explore the culture of horticulture.
Greetings, Horticulture podcast listeners.
Hello.
We are bringing you during this time of year where things are kind of busy. We're trying to bring you a little episode to brighten your week, but also not take up too much of your time. To that end, I think we are trying to share what we call a mini episode, Josh?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, a mini
Micro.
episode. It's going to be small, on the smaller size. So get out your audio microscopes.
Mm-hmm. There's less people in it too, so
Yeah,
just all around.
It's just going to be me and Josh. So if you haven't been irritated just yet, just wait.
Stay tuned.
Just wait. So Bald Boys only today. Alexis and Ray will have their own mini episode out. What are we going to talk about, Josh?
We're talking about horticulture in Japan.
What would you know about that?
Very little. No.
In a sense.
Actually, probably honestly not a ton. However, I did do an independent study abroad there back in 2012, where I spent a better part of 2 months, or kind of the growing season of 2012, down in southern Japan, very far southern Japan. For the geographers at home, it was on the island of Kyushu, which is the same latitude as coastal Georgia, to kind of give you an idea of where that was in terms of plants and things like that. And I was there working on farms that were engaging in kind of pork production, but because of the way that horticulture kind of permeates the activity of people in agricultural communities in Japan, there was a lot of horticultural activity to see and engage in while I was there.
And so you were there. This would have been at the tail end of when you were doing some reschooling. Remind us again on a very tight timeline your
What my
journey
deal is.
your journey through this professional and educational life.
Sure. Well, I went back to school to get an undergrad in sustainable agriculture at the age of 29, around 2009. So this was, I believe, my third year of undergrad as a 32-year-old, something like that. And I was advised that study abroad would be a pretty cool thing to do, especially being somebody who has had some travel experience, stuff like that, and worked out an arrangement to do kind of an independent solo travel study abroad.
And would you confirm that it was in fact a good thing to do?
Yes, I would confirm that. There's a lot of options for study abroad, and I think with agriculture, I had long been advised, even long before I had gone back to school, that the overseas agricultural experience can be very powerful to kind of see how other cultures solve what are essentially the same problems that we all face when it comes to working with nature.
Yeah, and maybe their solutions are slightly different from the ones, or very different from the ones that we put into those problems. So I'm feeling a little bit betrayed, because this is supposed to be a horticulture podcast, Josh, and you just said that you were there for pork.
Correct, which is not a plant.
Not a plant. Yeah. You can make the argument originally plant-based in a sense.
Right, it eats plants.
Right. Eats plants.
And that was a feature of the kind of pork production they were engaging in, was kind of foraging based pork and stuff.
Okay.
But, there was also a lot of horticultural activity where I was. Kagoshima was the prefecture. They're known for two things as far as agricultural products. The pork production system that I was there for, Kagoshima Kurobota, which is like Kagoshima black pig. But the other big one is they grow sweet potatoes there for a liquor which is called shochu, which is also popular across like Korea and many places.
I've had some shochu.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, it does the job.
Okay.
So there was extensive.
Sounds like there was a very in-depth study abroad experience based on what I'm hearing.
Definitely.
So they grow sweet potatoes, but
yeah,
I'm guessing
sweet potatoes everywhere.
So do people in Japan eat vegetables? Do they
Yes.
they grow plants? Is that
They
part
absolutely
of?
do.
You know.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I noticed kind of first that was distinct from agricultural production here in the States is that there are many things, but kind of the perfect example would be looking out across this valley where I was working. Which the farm was located in remote sites, so there was a lot of traveling between locations where certain production things were going on. But in this valley, right, there were some valleys that were predominantly rice production, and then some that were predominantly sweet potato production, which around the kind of periphery of those places, there were also peanuts being grown.
And if you had to ballpark sizes of fields, not of sweet potatoes or peanuts.
Oh, right. The average kind of size that I saw for the plots was about 2 to 3 acres.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very small compared to the U.S. average,
but also, large in a certain sense.
Yes.
From a hand scale or
right. And it was very mechanically assisted. Like, let's just say for a field that is sweet potato production, right? Everything was raised beds, black plastic. Into these squares that were about 1.5 acres, let's say. And for every 8 of those blocks, let's say arranged in like a little square, in the middle of those 8, there would be a block of the same size that was very high density, human scale, mixed vegetable production. Tons of stuff going on in there. And that was specifically for the workers in those 8 blocks of sweet potato productions would also have these little blocks for their own vegetable production, right? That they would work on every day and kind of collectively manage to take care of. So they always had fresh vegetables, which was similar to what we had going on, even though so I should kind of back up and describe the farm a little bit. The farm has these multiple teams. There was like a pig team, and that's what I was on. And there was a vegetable team, and they grew vegetables for this restaurant and hotel. And even though I was on the pig team, we had our own vegetable production space for ourselves as employees to kind of supply our lunches and dinners with fresh vegetables and things like that. And every morning, the first activity when we're all kind of showing up to the main HQ where we're figuring out what we're going to do for the day and how we're going to split up into teams to accomplish tasks, we all had to spend about like 15 to 20 minutes just maintaining the vegetable garden. And it was just kind of the ease into the day. And everything was raised beds with tons of like straw mulch.
So I have so many questions. One is, did the pig team and the vegetable team ever like play Red Rover or anything like that?
Not while I was there.
Gotcha. Feels like the pig team maybe would win, but the vegetable team, from all the antioxidants and minerals, might recover from their Red Rover injuries quicker.
Possibly.
They were anti-inflammatory.
They were fewer in number than us, so we had like kind of a size advantage.
I got you
for sure.
Well, so my other question, and less important one, is so like this is like a farm that you're working for, or a business that you're working with. Like you say, these teams. What are the teams part of? Are they?
Yeah.
And so yeah. Go ahead and answer that. Sorry, before I.
No, that's a good question, because it took about a week and a half to put together what I was actually a part of.
Nice.
Even though I was in it, working there every day.
Is this a cult?
Right. What does it
mean to be on the pig team? Yeah.
So there were these teams, like I said, the pig team, the vegetable team. There was also a restaurant and hotel team. And then all of these teams together were sort of, it fell under the collective heading of the name of the farm, which was, it's spelled Eco Farm, but they pronounce it Echo Farm. And Echo Farm, where the revenue came from for that, there was a CSA, but the members of this CSA were not individual households. They were restaurateurs or restaurant owners who would buy shares to receive produce, whether it was the vegetables or the pork. The pork was kind of the big selling point.
Gotcha.
And all of that, Echo Farm was kind of a either division or subsidiary. I'm not real super clear on the corporate structure, but was a part of this regional local recycling corporation. And so it was all kind of like part of this broader land stewardship thing. And that came into play a lot because we had access to tons of materials for building little structures and things like that. Like the headquarters where we met every day was this little compound that had all these bays of different materials and things like that were, part of the recycled streamline or waste material stream. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. Very.
I can see why it took you a week and a half to figure it out.
Right.
It might take me a week and a half to figure it out based on what I just heard.
And I mean, the restaurant and hotel team, that's because there were 2 restaurants on site and a hotel. And one of those restaurants was just for other employees. And so, had like discounted rates and stuff like that.
But so regardless of what team you were on, you had a horticulture component?
Yes, totally. And they encouraged kind of cross-pollinating between the teams. Like there were some people who worked in the restaurant/hotel team who would spend some of their time in either the vegetable team or the pig team. And so that way there was this kind of sharing of skill sets and understanding of like what's going on.
Wow. So like this maybe this is just a US concept, but were you on the clock, so to speak, when you were doing the horticulture work?
Yes. Well, I mean, it was the way it felt was like it was pretty much, 8 to 5 day. And whatever you were doing was part of the thing. And I don't know. I mean, they did have a punch clock, but it seemed like it was much more like kind of salary oriented.
I gotcha.
Like I think it was just to make sure if you stayed late, you were going to get extra for it. But there wasn't a culture of staying late. It was like, boom, 5 o'clock, we're out.
Well, that's pretty cool. So do you, we mentioned how, and I think it's become clear just in this little brief conversation, the role of horticulture in this space is a little different. Any other kind of particular observations about horticulture as it played out there in comparison? So just a reminder to the studio, or to our listeners, I should say, we do have a live studio audience today. Shout out to Arundhati and my dog Bear.
Bear's kind of checked out.
Yeah, Bear's very disinterested, but Arundhati's been clapping silently. So for our audience, to remind our audience, Josh, you've had quite a bit of experience working on mixed vegetable, diversified farms in the United States. So you had that experience before,
right?
So what are some of the things that you have any big takeaways? I see you have some notes over there. If you have other things you wanted to share about the experience that I haven't prompted you into yet.
Well, to kind of reiterate a little bit. Oh, the other thing I should mention is that the pig team was also responsible for the rice fields, which was similar in size and scope, but more like an agronomic crop in the sense that it didn't require daily we would check on it, but it didn't require like the kind of
like livestock or water sensitive plant.
Yeah. Right. But I would say when it comes to the vegetable production systems I saw, so there's kind of 2 things going on. There's the sweet potato production, which I would say is their very resource intensive kind of agronomic crop sort of looking thing, where there's a lot of resources going into it and it's a cash crop. And kind of commodity style probably, because it's all just being fed into these distilleries, right? And that was those systems where it was all raised bed and black plastic kind of production systems, which is sort of what we associate, or at least I associate with kind of larger scale vegetable production in the U.S. and some places even in Kentucky, or even with the CSA or something like that. Whereas the vegetable production system for Echo Farm, whether it was for the restaurant or for the employees, was still a raised bed system, but everything, it was like a straw mulch kind of deal. And one of the things that was kind of this cross-cultural connection was when I went over there, they had heard of and were big fans as well of One Straw Revolution, Masanobu Fukuoka, that kind of like thinking and methodology of approaching agriculture, which I wasn't necessarily my experience here in the States with, talking to people about Japanese agricultural systems. Like he was considered relatively fringe within Japanese agriculture, but at this farm, they were I wouldn't say devotees, but
they were about that.
Yeah, they were about the Fukuoka life.
I see that. I see.
Yeah, and it was really kind of thrilling. One of my favorite things to relate about that experience was, all these kind of smaller farms. It was exciting to be cruising through like a valley of 50, 60 acres, but just see dozens of people in all of these little fields, like, engaging with nature and creating their livelihood. Where I was, the food was very cheap, especially for, produce. Anywhere you go, it's available. And they also had this system for rice production. When you were going to go buy rice, you don't even really have to go to the store. There were these periodic kind of vending stalls in these agricultural spaces. So it's just, there's just all these rice fields, and then you just see this little pull off the road where there's like a vending machine, and you give it some payment information, and you get like however much rice you want.
Wow,
and it's coming
cool.
from like those fields or whatever.
Yeah. So
it's like that production and consumption is very tightly linked in these communities.
That's really cool. So I was at the National Ag Marketing Summit this past year in 2023, and they had a guy there who from Texas A&M he came to Texas A&M recently from Canada, originally from Australia. So Mr. Worldwide 2.0.
The Anglosphere, well-traveled.
Right. He was talking about maybe doing this project, but he had an example of this butcher shop in New South Wales, where the way that they sell their product, frozen product, local meat to local meat products to local consumers, but you go through and you become a customer, which requires this kind of onboarding process where you have to visit the farm, kind of CSA adjacent. But you get a key code to this keypad, and you enter your keypad to get into the store. It's completely unstaffed, but it's open 24/7. You go in, you pick up your stuff, you scan it with your phone, you put it in your bag, and you pay on your phone, and you're out.
Wow.
And there's another interesting parallel. Tim Woods, who works with our group at the Center for Crop Diversification. Hopefully, he'll be joining us in the next few weeks to talk some about economic outlooks. But he was in England for the past for 6 months over the past year, and he was talking about they have a liquid milk vending machine.
Interesting. Like bring your own container?
I think so. Or like maybe they have glass bottles there or something.
Get a growler of milk.
Yeah, get a growler.
Get ready for the party.
Show up to the party. Yeah. Super Bowl Sunday, I'm bringing milk.
Warm milk.
Yeah. Like to wash down these nachos and wings with some full fat milk.
That sounds like a party.
No, but it was cool. And I think that these like intermediary technologies, it's very funny that internationally some aspects of U.S. agriculture are technologically and otherwise ahead, and in other ways so far behind.
Yeah, right.
And it's pretty cool just to see that inspiration and that cross-pollination there.
That sort of reminded me, as far as like technology used in production, the most popular tool over there, as far as something that we don't necessarily see a lot of here in the States. Of course, there's hand tools. There's a lot of similarity in those things. They have tractors, etc.
Do they think my tractor's sexy?
I didn't ask.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I should have. Yeah, I was busy.
You were figuring it out.
Right. But the big popular thing over there is like, so there weren't a lot of push mowers or smaller riding mowers for like maintaining landscapes, and all the landscapes everywhere seem to be devoted towards some kind of production. And if they're not, it's not as though they're mowed lawns or anything like that. But the big thing that I saw over there was, so they use line trimmers or weed eaters, but they always they use the attachment where it's like a saw blade. And that is what is extensively used for kind of landscape maintenance or
kind of like a brush
things.
Cutter type vibe.
Yeah. Like one of the things that we used to, so at the periphery of kind of the employee vegetable garden, they would do this seed mix of, I couldn't tell you everything that was in it. It looked like some stuff was like millet and some grain crops or tall grasses or something like that, but something that just created a ton of biomass, like these mixes, probably some cover crop mix. And they would let that grow to some height, pre-seeding, obviously, like prematurity, and then would cut it back at the base while we were loading up like feed and stuff like that for the pigs to take out. We would also load up a truckload with all this biomass and take that and throw that out in there. So there was this kind of like cover cropping cutting to like feeding to animals and stuff like that. So the space was always kind of, if it wasn't there to feed us, it was to like provide supplement for animals or some other aspect of the production system.
That's very cool.
That was neat. Very
cool. Well, do you have any other final thoughts or any other things that we, again, we're trying to keep these episodes a little shorter than usual.
Sure.
We could obviously talk a lot more. I have a million more questions I could ask, but and if you all want to hear more about Josh's time in Japan or any other little deeper dives into any of our dark and mysterious backgrounds,
an episode on Bear, Brett's dog,
an interview. But yeah, do you have any final thoughts?
Just that it's cool. I would recommend if you're going to travel overseas, make sure to look into what's going on with agricultural production, because it's fascinating. I mean, it's same problems but different solutions usually.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for tuning in and for all the support we've gotten over the last year. It's been a really good time doing these podcasts, and I think we all look forward to recording them and hearing that people have been listening. A reminder, you can check us out on Instagram at Horticulture Pod, and if you if you need to email us, or you can email all of us at horticulturepodcast@l.uky.edu. And I'll try to remember what Alexis always says as we grow this podcast. We hope that you'll grow with us. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.